A totaled SUV on I-35. Inside, 620,000 fentanyl pills, 4 untraceable handguns, and a military-grade encrypted laptop. That crash wasn't random. It was the first breadcrumb. In minutes, patrol officers realized this wasn't a routine bust. It was a national security alarm. What connected a Minnesota wreck to a DC Homeland Infrastructure official and a syndicate moving multi-state shipments? Stay with me as we follow the laptop's trail. The exemptions stamped from inside government systems, and the one signature investigators say opened a hidden freight path across the country. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. The call hit dispatch at 2:11. Single vehicle rollover on I-35. Northbound shoulder. Airbags deployed. Driver unresponsive. 2 troopers and an EMS unit arrived inside 9 minutes. Flares set, lanes squeezed. They cut battery power, checked for leaks, then started the routine. Photograph, glove up, inventory. The rear hatch wouldn't pop, so a trooper pried the latch and lifted to a wall of shrink-wrapped bricks. The plastic showed faint circular scuffs, the kind press plates leave when hot tooling kisses film. Another trooper slid a brick out, split the seam, and found rows of small blue tablets packed tight, moisture barrier film crinkling like foil. 4 pistols lay in a duffel, oil wiped, serials scraped to silver scars. Between them sat a rugged laptop with a dead screen and a small square sticker, D141. They cleared the cabin first. Airbag dust, 2 prepaid phones with the backs popped, and a headliner that didn't sit flush over the rear seats. EMS moved the driver. Hazmat gloves on. They bagged the guns and tablets, then tried to power the laptop. No boot. One trooper recognized the chassis. Mil-spec, epoxy in the ports, rubberized corners, tamper screws. He hit the power again. Nothing. A tiny LED blinked twice and quit. Not dead. Waiting for something. On a roadside, a crew carrying gear like that is not normal. Street dealers run with cheap burners. This unit wanted a token. Evidence stacks up in small details. The pills weren't loose. They were in tight rows, film-wrapped by count, not by weight. Field test swabs flashed positive, but the cut felt dry and the press marks were clean. Domestic pill press output often rides in sealed bundles like this, not the Vasey sealed bulk powder you see off long-haul cartel shipments. By the 5th brick, they started counting. The number kept climbing. 620,000 tablets, blue dye uniform, 2 stamp faces repeating across the load. The stamps carried shallow edges, not the deeper bite you see on older plates. Binders tasted chalkier to the tongue depressor, a crude tell that would later get real confirmation. They tagged the laptop as a decoy at first. E141 looked like a fleet code. The epoxy-sealed ports suggested a purpose-built comms box, less laptop, more endpoint. The 4 pistols told their own story. No serials, no ballistics history in any database, no quick way to tether them to prior shootings. That level of scrub takes planning. When contraband rides with hardened communications gear, interdiction units flag it differently. Highway stops that turn up secure devices often mean there is a command tier somewhere else. Operators who expect to lose vehicles but not data. Back at the post, the pills stood out more. The blue shade matched a recent Tacoma seizure, and the stamps matched a St. Cloud case log. Even the micro cracks along the edges looked alike, the result of the same press pressure and dwell time. Field tests told them what they needed for probable cause, but the lab runs gas chromatography dash mass spectrometry for composition and impurities, and that takes time. That delay matters. GCMS doesn't just say what it is, it says how it was made. When the report hit, it flagged unusual binder ratios, same profile as a short list of active press operations already under quiet watch. That pushed the laptop back into focus. Hardware encrypted, tamper-resistant, and still a brick without its key. One tech took another pass at the SUV and felt the headliner. There was a ridge above the rear passenger seat. He slid a trim tool in and found a short USB stick taped to the crossbar. Back in the lab, they slotted it. The laptop blinked, flashed a tamper-proof splash, and stalled. Long enough. Forensics grabbed volatile memory, a snapshot before the device sealed itself. The dump showed 3 file names in recent artifacts: Unit 141, Gullah, and R-D Ledger. Those labels didn't look like street chatter. They looked like a route. The next breadcrumb didn't lie on asphalt. It flashed in an access log tied to a federal door in Washington, D.C. Those 3 file names didn't look like slang. They read like access schedules. Forensics went line by line through the cloned memory and pulled fragments from temp files. What survived were partial spreadsheets with columns labeled R approvals and D shipments, plus blocks of time that sat between 0030 and 0400. At first, the initials meant nothing. Then, a case agent mapped the timestamps against port logs and saw the same windows lined up with overnight exemption periods. The laptop didn't hold messages between couriers. It held the timing for doors that only open when someone with a federal badge says they should. They built a timeline from scraps. A row marked R at 2358, then a D line at 317. And in the public movement ledger, a container jumped lanes and cleared with a low-risk code. Another file slice showed 3 R entries in under 6 minutes. The following night, 3 containers slid through a secondary with reduced scans. Meanwhile, personnel rosters showed 6 customs teams reassigned to warehouses during those hours. Surveillance notes flagged camera outages stamped as infrastructure maintenance in the same windows. You can wave away 1 swap, maybe 2. When the pattern repeats across nights and ports, it stops being noise. Here's how the bypass worked. Inside the system, certain approvals downgrade a container's risk profile. With 1 approval, a credentialed official can set a cascade: fewer non-intrusive inspections, alternate routing, and a fast path through an exemption lane. In practice, that shaves minutes at each choke point and avoids random pulls. If the same credential enters a maintenance ticket for a camera hub, the blind spot expands. What should be layered security turns into a guided corridor. The person holding that credential does not have to touch the freight. The system moves it for them. Advisories from security agencies warn about this exact play. Insider threat frameworks describe access misuse as a slow bleed rather than a smash and grab. Bad actors blend legitimate duties with small deviations that do not trip a single alarm. A maintenance ticket here, a risk reclassification there, and the audit trails look ordinary unless you aggregate them. That is why the spreadsheets mattered. They tied 1 approval to 1 arrival, then repeated. The Tacoma thread brought it into focus. An accounting line recovered later listed Gullah, Tacoma shipment next to a date and a short code. Cargo records show a shipment with that ID cleared just after a cluster of exemptions were signed within minutes of each other. The lab pill profile from earlier matched tablets seized along that route. Different agencies comparing notes turned a line item into a route map. Then the logs gave a name to the door. Access records showed 1 official's badge scanning into secure docks hours before flagged containers arrived. The same badge owner filed 12 urgent infrastructure reports over 2 months, each used to justify temporary camera downtimes. Port crews logged the outages as routine. The windows matched the laptop's time blocks.